welcome back to the channel. I know this might seem a little bit different to what we usually do, but I thought it would be pretty cool to do something slightly different to Game Development, which it does still apply, and that is ranking the top 9, or no, not even top 9, the 9 different types of angels. So to start off, we're not going to start from this end because this is like all of the cool ones. I think we should start with the fucking boring ones. These are the most common type of angel, the angels. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not gonna rank these. I'm not really gonna discuss these because they are the most well-known type of angel, and I probably won't be including these in my games as an entity in itself, because most of these angels will probably be the antagonists. So instead, these are probably going to be the victims, or this is how I see them. These are all just going to be victims. Whether if a war happens or if something happens between the angels or demons, these are going to be the things you start with, you know, to show the destruction. One of the angels, the main character, might come across a plane of dead angels and see basically a massacre. So these will be the victim trope. Then in the actual Bible, they are, how can you say, each person gets an angel that overlooks them, and that probably won't be the case in my game. This will probably be like the civilian class, or the victims. So as the victims, unfortunately for the angels, they are going to have to go in boring. But moving on, we now have the Dominions. So, the Dominions. In my games, the Dominions are going to be the warmongers. They're going to be controlling the armies of the fallen, and will be ravaging all of the good angels. I say good. I'm doing air quotes right now, because in my game, good and evil are subjective, as they are in real life. But that is the main. But that is the main purpose and meaning of my game. That doesn't really matter what good or bad is. It more depends on how each person views good or bad, because it's all subjective. So it's a philosophical approach to angels. But specifically with the Dominions, I'm going to rank them quite highly, because in my game, they're going to, as I said, they're going to be the warmongers. They're going to be the ones starting the wars, and probably going to be the most aggressive in terms of, but they're also going to be the most human. And I'd say that because obviously there's a lot in the world that there's a lot that happens in humanity where, you have your dictators, you have your warmongers and warlords, and their main aim is to create war and to benefit themselves. But with the Dominions, they're not just creating war to benefit themselves, they're creating war to feed themselves, which I guess you could argue, yes, is benefiting themselves. But then you could also argue that, are they necessarily in the wrong for that? If they can't survive on anything else but war, is it wrong to feed on it? I would say yes, because war is never right. But according to these guys, it is. But considering in terms of power level, these guys can control all of the angels. They can control powers and are on the same level as principalities. So they're going to go quite high up. I'm thinking dangerous. I'm only saying could kill Satan because they themselves do not have that raw strength, but they do have the commanding presence to lead an army that could kill Satan. And I'm not putting it decent because these guys are a bit more interesting than that. So we're going to put them in dangerous. What's next? Virtues. Okay, virtues are straight away. You can see her. This is where they're going to be image from. So if anyone wants to know what that is, you're welcome. With the virtues, these are like the mages of the, in fact, let's get the title in. These are like the mages of Be Not Afraid. If you come across a virtue, they're going to be, in terms of power, they're going to be on the level of a human or very low ranking angel. But the reason they're interesting is because they are the very, very sadistic, power hungry, or flesh hungry even, of the angels. These guys, or whatever they are, they just like to farm humans. That's what they do. That's all their purposes. Obviously, these are the fallen ones, but the fallen angels like to feed on humans, not for hunger, and not to satiate that, but to satiate the sadistic pleasure that they get from it. I personally think that is, I mean, it's horrifying, sure, but it's cool as fuck. So, and just looking at this, I mean, this is a brilliant what's the word? Illustration? Adaptation? It's something, and it's pretty fucking cool. So I'm gonna definitely put the virtue somewhere quite high. They're not gonna be up here. They're not killing Satan. Dangerous? They're not really that dangerous. If you come across one as a human or an angel, you're gonna die. But anything else, you're gonna be okay. These are more like the psychos of the 9 ranks. So let's put it in as decent. And next, so we're moving into, this is actually the top. This is the second most powerful angel behind the Seraphim, the Cherubim. By the way, can we just talk about this artist? He is one of the best. I will link his again. I will link his page or channel in the description below, because this is what inspired this whole channel. All of these images, well, not all of these. This image and this image. This image especially is just it's beautiful, and I'm pretty sure he did it in Maya. I'm fairly sure he did it in Maya. He might have done it in 3D or 4D cinema. Is that even what it's called? I don't know. I'm sorry if you can hear the thing clicking. I'm going to try to edit out, but I don't think that's going to work. But yeah, the Cherubim. I'm going to argue that the Cherubim is... let me first describe what the Cherubim is in terms of Be Not Afraid. The Cherubim in Be Not Afraid are going to be like the generals. Not warmongers, the generals when it comes to fighting in armies. I'm not going to say they're necessarily good. I'm not going to say they're necessarily bad. They're just going to kind of be there. They're more likely going to be the NPCs that you speak to, or some kind of like eternal source of knowledge. It could even be a case of you would speak to this angel to get a skill tree, or to access your skill tree, and it can teach you. It has like divine knowledge. So this is more like the knowledge one, the intellect that you can talk to. They give you tutorials, they tell you how to do stuff. But in terms of power, I mean, in the original Bible, these guys are obviously the second strongest. And in my games, they will also be the second strongest, but they will not be used for that. They will be used for their strength. At least not their physical strength. They're used for their mental strength, because they're depicted as a 3-headed being, human, bull, and lion, I think. Fairly sure. In my game, they're just going to be depicted as this, basically, right here. But let's think. Yeah, again, it's not going to kill Satan. We're not going up here, that's fucking sure. Dangerous? They're not dangerous. And they're not boring. So they're going to go, the Cherubim is going to go into decent, I think. I think that's a fair thing, because you're going to need to access them for intellect-wise. All of that shit. But moving on. Powers. Now, I know we said that these angels are the lowest rank, but that's in terms of civilian. They don't have any fighting strength. But these guys, on the other hand, these guys are the soldiers. They're the soldiers of this entire franchise. They are the foot soldier. They're gonna be ones fighting the wars. They're gonna be the most powerful in terms of numbers, but little else. They have wings. They'll have armor. They're basic weaponry as well, and they're going to be possibly things you can train, things you command, but one individual power is probably the second weakest out of all of these. Although it could defeat a virtue, but again, I think you would need several of them to defeat one virtue. They are definitely better than the angels, but unfortunately, I do think that because they're just the foot soldier, they're kind of peons. Like, they're peasants. They're not gonna go. I mean, if this direction is like what is really fucking boring, but on the other direction, they go slightly above angels, but definitely not decent. I don't think they're decent. Now, archangels. I mean, can we, again, the adaptations of some artist adaptations of these guys are awesome. The archangels, they are, I don't even know how to describe this. Like they are the top of the middle row. of the angels, the middle query, because we're going to be moving on soon to the top 3. Although this is the powerful list, and this is the 3rd, and then we'll come to that in a second. Archangels. Let's describe them and base it off of that description. So archangels are going to be basically like the gods of angels. They're not going to be gods like divinity wise. I mean, obviously all of these angels are going to be divine, but the archangels are angels like Lucifer, although he obviously fell from heaven because he went against God's word. But these guys who stick with God's word and do his bidding, they're given all of this power, and they can control pretty much everything below the Ophanim, Cherubim, and Seraphim. But they do directly speak with God in my games, or they will do. These guys, I'm assuming, are going to be like the villains in terms of what they can do, like how much influence they have. They'll all have influence. They'll be like the leaders of civilizations or factions. They'll be the head of those. And there's not really much more to say, but they're not just military. They're influence. They are the leaders of each of the factions, aside from these ones. So in terms of raw strength, these guys have the capacity to wipe out entire armies of powers. They could easily kill virtues. Dominions, it would be a good fight, but I'm thinking these guys, considering Satan was an archangel, I'm going to say that these guys could kill Satan. I know the quality is fantastic, but I think the archangel could kill Satan easily in terms of power level, and they're really influential. Principalities. So principalities are kind of the wild card or they will be the wild card in my games. These guys are half angel, half eye, half whatever, like half whatever this is, half flesh, half monster. So they're a third monster, third angel, and third eyes. So let's describe it before we rank it. I'm thinking that a principality is something that it is the type of angel that can dictate things, control the rules, and have massive influence on the whole idea, subjectivity in regards to good versus evil. And I'm guessing, and I'm going to make it so these guys are going to be random spawns. They're going to be like the secret boss, I think, would be cool. The secret boss of the angels would be absolutely awesome. They're not going to be anything more in terms of power. They can kind of have lots of power. They could have little power. They could use that power for good. They could use the power for evil. They could do whatever they want, really. In terms of abilities as well, I'm going to probably link something to do with portals and distilling down to ideas, like ideas as weapons or values as weapons. But in terms of raw power, let's rank these guys because I really want to get onto these two. The principalities could not kill Satan, but then if they were good enough, they could. If you got them in the right setting, or you got lucky, they could have the power to kill Satan because they could put him in a portal and slice him in half or whatever. They're not going to be on par with God. They are very dangerous. So they're either above dominions, but then could they kill an archangel? I'm going to put them in dangerous. They're going to go above dominions because of the potential they have. They could be as powerful as a basic angel, and they could be as powerful as a dominion, but slightly more powerful. So they're going to go slightly above. Now, I think these are basically, you're going to know where these are going to go. These are the best, most interesting angels, and the one I have the most knowledge in out of all of these. Ophanims. Ophanims are created to do God's bidding, and that will follow into my game. But specifically in my game, like Into the Woods, which it will come back, but currently I was on pause for reasons stated in the previous video. The Ophanim can be very transformative, and it can it can be a monster. It can be horrifying, demonic, and all of these. I mean, just looking at. Let me pause so you can see it. Just looking at it, this is not something you'd want to just come across and around. Like this guy, it's not going well for him. He's come across this eye surrounded by rings made of eyes. I think that's horrifying. But in terms of power as well, in the book that I wrote on Be Not Afraid, the first chapter, the Ophanim is like this is the powerhouse. This is like the soup. This is the nuke of the angels. It has the power to line up all of these rings and charge an energy ray or something, or like a divine ray of light, and detonate anything. So this is like, they don't have much force on themselves, or they don't have much sentience by themselves, unless of course they turn evil. That's when they get sentience, that's when they turn evil. So this is why God made them just eyes, no brains, because he didn't want them to turn against them. But in terms of weaponry, these guys are on par with nukes in human language, or human weaponry. So 100% they're killing Satan by themselves, and it wouldn't even be a fight. One blast from these guys, Satan is gone. They're gonna, of course, they're more powerful than archangels. Basically God. Now, purely because these guys do not have sentience, they're not gonna be basically God. However, when they get sentient and when they develop that, that's when they turn evil, and that's when they turn sadistic, and that's when they just want to eat. But are they on par with God? No, because one shot of these, a nuke is not going to destroy the moon, for example, or one nuke compared to the sun is not doing much. That's probably a better analogy. This is a nuke. God is the sun in terms of like more energy. So I think it's going to stay here, which leaves us with the final and most interesting one, the Seraphim. Now, this is by far my favorite. So we're really going to go into this one. We'll describe it quickly first. So these are like God's second hand man. They have a lot of power. They can pretty much do anything within the realms of possibility. And they are created as God's personal guards. And they will do his bidding. In the Bible, it says they kind of just chant him on. They're like God's yes man, for example. But in Be Not Afraid, they are his most powerful thing. It's like his most powerful creation. These things can rewrite the fucking universe. Or maybe not rewrite it, but they can certainly change it in terms of the raw strength, the power. And coming across one of these things, like this guy has, you better hope that they've not been sent to kill you, because they will make your life misery. And they imagine hell. If you get killed by one of these things, you don't just get killed, you get trapped within a different type of hell entirely. Surrounded by feathers and eyes, you'll be transported to a dimension that is like hell, but it's God's hell. Whether that's worse or better is up to you, but personally, I would rather go to hell than have to be on the bad side of one of these things. Now, within my game, this is gonna 100% be the main final boss, and if I decide to do a plot twist, these things are going to be the thing that you use to fight God, or fight all of the other angels, or they come in right at the end, and they have the power to completely change the tide of a battle, of an entire war. So, the final one is, of course, going to be basically God. They're not gods, but they're basically God. They haven't got his ability to create, but they have his ability to destroy. And they have also got the sentience, unlike the Ophanim. So this is going to be the rankings. I'm pretty happy with it. Is there anything I would change? I don't think so. Principalities are definitely a weird one. They could really go here or here, but I am going to leave them there. Now that I've kind of covered this though, I don't know. No, I think I'm happy with this. Let me know if you would change anything. Just again, disclaimer, I've made some references to the Bible in terms of how these things are described in the Bible, but I'm not saying that this is what is described in the Bible. This is kind of biblically accurate angels in regards to Be Not Afraid. And also, this is not a comment on the Bible whatsoever. I made sure that I will always disclaim this is completely separate to religion. It's not a comment. I know it is, but it comes from religion, but it makes no comment on religion. It's purely for entertainment. So yeah, I also would like to say that I have now created the Discord. So if you are looking to discuss stuff like this or talk about indie game dev, I know this video is not a game dev video necessarily. It kind of links to the underlying theme of all the games that I will create. But yeah, if you would like to join Discord, please do. And if you're enjoying this content, then please subscribe. I've got a few cool things planned. And another little announcement, I have finally got a name for the game I showed in the last video, the futuristic one. It's got a name. All of the main levels have been furnished with the assets. I'm going to do a devlog on it. And I hope everyone's looking forward to that. It'll be my first game. I'm not really expecting it to do ridiculous, but it's going to be cool. It's going to be released by June. I'm hoping end of June. And yeah, so stick around for the next few videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.